Hello everyone, you are watching Naresh IAS Academy YouTube channel. How can we cover entire history of ancient India in brief? This is my effort to provide accurate and complete information for you. In Hindi medium, we have already uploaded a single video through which we have explained the every aspect of ancient Indian history, so you may take help from there. And this video will be in the English medium only. The first topic of the ancient Indian history is Indus Valley Civilization, the Sindhu Ghati Sabhyata. In short, I will write here as IVC, Indus Valley Civilization, and the topic can be understood under the various heads. One is the nomenclature of Indus Valley Civilization. Second is what was the period of the civilization. Third is the geographical extent. Fourth is what were the capitals of Indus Valley Civilization. Fifth title is important sites of civilization, or sixth is the salient features. Now I will draw Indian map through which we will locate some important sites and to understand the different features or artifacts found from the civilization. First, the nomenclature of Indus Valley Civilization. This was the John Marshall, British archaeologist and the scholar, who named the civilization as IBC in 1924 when he published information about the civilization in England. John Marshall completed his excavation work with the help of different Indian archaeologists, and who stated that the peoples of Indus Valley Civilization were mainly settled surrounding the Indus River and its tributary. So, this is the Indus River. Indus River originates from the Tibet near the Mansarovar Lake outside India, and there were so many tributaries of the Indus River. Or John Marshall said the mostly population was settled on the bank of Indus or either the different tributaries. Second, what was the period of the Indus Valley Civilization? समय क्या है इस सभ्यता का? Mainly the mature period of the Indus Valley Civilization was 2600 BC to the lowest time when the civilization was entered into decline 1900 BC before Christ Isapur. It means when the civilization got its highest development, this is the 2600, and when civilization entered into declining phase, the 1900 BC. The geographical extent of the Indus Valley Civilization. The civilization was extended in north and south, east and west, and Manda was the northernmost expansion. Manda now in Jammu Kashmir on the bank of Chenab river, and in the south it was extended up to the Daimabad in Maharashtra on the bank of Pravra river, and in the eastern side it was extended up to the Alamgirpur in the Meerut district of Uttar Pradesh. Alamgirpur, it was located on the bank of Hindon river. Hindon is a tributary of Yamuna river, and in the western side it was the Sutkange Dor in Pakistan, in the Baluchistan province of Pakistan, or it was located on the bank of Dast river. This was the geographical expansion. And what was the geographical area and its shape? The geographical area of the Indus Valley civilization was 12,99,000 square kilometer, and in round figure we can say it was extended within the 30 lakh square kilometer geographical territories, and its shape was, it was triangular in shape. Through the perpendicular we can understand its shape. This was the triangular in shape. The capitals of Indus Valley civilization, there were 3 capitals of Indus Valley civilization. Important or the main scholars have defined these sites as the capital. The first capital was the Harappa. Harappa was the first capital. Second capital was the Mohenjo-daro, or third capital was the Kalibanga. Kalibanga. The historians of Rajasthan, Mr. Dasrath Sharma, has assumed the Kalibanga as the third capital of Indus Valley civilization, while the British scholar Stuart Piggott have mentioned Harappa and Mohenjo-daro were the twin capital of the Indus Valley civilization. The important sites of the civilization. Harappa was the first site of Indus Valley civilization, which was discovered in 1921 by the Dayaram Sahni, and now Harappa is located on the bank of Ravi river in Pakistan. This is the location of Harappa in Pakistan, and 2 important artifacts we have found. One is the plough model of the wooden plough, and the evidences of granary, where the food grains were stored for meeting the challenges of futures. The second site was Mohenjo-daro. Mohenjo-daro now in Pakistan on the bank of Indus river. This is the location of Mohenjo-daro in Pakistan in the Sindh province. Mohenjo-daro was discovered by the Rakhal Das Banerjee or R.D. Banerjee in 1922, the second site, or in 1980 it was declared as the first World Heritage Site. And Mohenjo-daro is a term of Sindhi language which means mounds of dead, and it is also called the Garden of Sindh and the Oasis. Important artifacts we have found from the Mohenjo-daro. One is the statue of priest, which is called the Proto Shiva, the earliest form of Lord Shiva. Second, the dancing female bronze, or third is the evidences of the Great Bath, which reflects its religious importance. And the third site was the Kalibanga. Kalibanga now in the Hanumangarh district of Rajasthan, and there is Pilibanga very close to the Kalibanga. It was discovered by the Amlanand Ghosh and excavated by the B.B. Lal and B.K. Thapar. Kalibanga means the black bangles, and the plowing field evidences are not only in India but in the world are the first. These were the first people in India. They started all the agriculture practices in the world. And the next site is the Lothal. Lothal now in the Ahmedabad district of Gujarat. This is the site of Lothal. I am marking here on the map. Lothal is a term of Gujarati language which means the mounds of dead. Lothal was the dockyard or seaport of the civilization through which the peoples continue their international trade and commerce. And different artifacts we have found, the evidences of the fire altars and the twin cemeteries, about which some scholars assume the evidences of the sati practice or the evidence of the mummy, and also the evidence of rice also found from the Lothal. Different kinds of scale like the ivory scale and the seal of Persia also have found from the Lothal. And this was the next site is Chanhu-daro. Chanudaro in Pakistan in the Sindh province on the bank of Indus river. Chanudaro was the factory site of civilization and it was famous for the bead making, and the largest site of civilization was the Rakhigarhi in Haryana. This was the site of Rakhigarhi in Haryana, the largest site, and the another site was the Banavali in again Haryana, where we have found the model of the clay plough. And there was an important site in Gujarat, the Dholabira in the run of Kaksh, and Dholabira means a site of the white whales. Dholabira first informed by the Sambudhan Gadbi and later on it was excavated by the Jagpati Joshi, or in 1991 it was completely disclosed before the world by the Rabindra Singh Bist. Dholabira is the only site where the Tropic of Cancer passes, and this is the second site after the Mohenjo-daro have been declared the World Heritage Site in 2021, and this was the only site where the city were divided into east, west and the middle part, and so many other evidences we have found the Dholabira, just like a drainage pattern, water management and sanitation facilities were at the maximum level in the Dholabira. Surkotda was the next site again in Gujarat. We have found the bones of the horse. The evidences of horse we have found from the Surkotda, Gujarat, and some evidences about the horse from the Mohenjo-daro too. This was the Daimabad, the southernmost expansion of civilization. We have found the model of the copper plough. The copper plough model have been found from the Daimabad. Important features of the Indus Valley civilization, one was the civilization is called the bronze civilization because the peoples are used to start mixing the copper and stainless tin and they form the alloys, the bronze. However, most of utensils or wares were not made up by the bronze, and the peoples of civilization were not aware about the use of iron. Iron mostly is absent in the civilization. Second, the Indus people planned for the construction of their towns or cities. Their towns and cities were constructed after the deep planning, and mostly the cities were constructed from the east to west side. Eastern part is called the lower town, where the houses were built for the common people or the ordinary people, while the western part was the fortified or citadel, where the houses were built for the ruling class, middle class and the rich peoples, and the main doors of the houses were not open toward the road side. Lothal was only the exception where the main doors were open toward the road side. The western part was the fortified, but Chanudaro, where there was no fortification at the western part. All the houses were connected with the drainage pattern. Drainage pattern was too good in the civilization, but the drainage pattern of Banavali was very weak. And the next feature is civilization mainly used the bricks than the stones for the buildings, and the standard size of bricks was the 4:2:1. This was the standard size of the bricks. Indus peoples were literate, they have well developed script, however it has not been studied or deciphered yet. They mainly started to writing from left to right, then right to left and they used the symbols or letters for writing, and it is called the ox turning script. Sometime in the Greek it is called the Boustrophedon script. Indus people made the seals through the steatite stones, and seals were used as a currency for identification of the properties and payment for the international trade. And Indus peoples made BRW, black and red bears, and they were very aware about the use of potter's wheel, and their pottery wares were both plain and ornamented. Science and technology were important aspect of the Indus Valley civilization. They have different units of measurement. Mainly their scales were in the multiple of the 16s. Indus peoples were the first in the world. They started the cultivation of cotton. The cotton crop was first produced by the Indus peoples, and there is no evidences of cows in the Indus civilization. Finally, the Indus Valley civilization was ended, and there were multiple factors behind this. And the next is the Vedic literature. Vedic literature. After the Indus Valley civilization, this was the Vedic civilization, and which is mentioned in the Vedic literature. So, first we will understand the Vedic literature in brief. Vedic literature started from the Veda and ended up to the Upanishad or Vedanta. The term Veda refers to the knowledge, and it is also called the Shruti, what is heard by the rishis from the God, and also Vedas called the Aparushe, which means they have not been written by a common mean. It means they have their divine origin. There were the 4 Vedas. One was the Rig Veda. Rig Veda is the not only India's but world the first scripture or text, and it was first written during the 1500 to 1000 BC. It is the largest Veda, and it has 1028 Sukt, around 10,550 to 10,600 mantras or verses, and there are 10 mandal or chapters. From 2nd to 7th mandals are called the family books or Rishi Mandal, family mandal or the Gotra Mandal. The 3rd mandal contains Gayatri mantra Om Bhur Bhuvaswa Tasvatur Varenyam, and 3rd mandal was written by the Rishi Vishwamitra. That's why Gayatri mantra is written or compiled by the Rishi Vishwamitra. The 10th mandal contains one of the important the Purusha Sukta, or first time the origin of Varna system, including Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, the 4 Varnas have mentioned in the 10th mandal. This was the 2nd Veda, the Samved. Samveda is the shortest Veda among the 4, and it has only 1875 mantras, and Samveda describe the origin of Indian classical music. The 3rd Veda is the Yajurved. Yajurved has 1975 mantras, and it deals with the performance of sacrifices. There are 2 recension of branch of Yajurveda, the Shukla Yajurved, White Yajurved, Black Yajurved or the Krishna Yajurved, and it has been written in both prose and verse style, and it is called the compilation of Champu style. And the 4th Veda is the Atharva Ved. It was written or compiled by the Atharva Rishi, and it has around 5977 mantras, and it was written in the last, and it is the 2nd largest Veda. Its subject matter is quite different. Rig Veda, Samveda, Yajurveda have similarity in their content. That's why they are called the Veda Trai or the Trinity of Veda, while the Atharvaveda contains charms and spells, superstitious belief, science and technology, astronomy and astrology. Now, each Veda has its Upaveda. There are the 4 Upavedas, defines the each Veda in short. Rig Veda has its Upaveda, which is the Silp Ved, Veda of architecture, the Silp Ved, and Samved has Upveda, which is the Gandharv Ved. Gandharv Ved. और यजुर्वेदा has its Upveda is Dhanur Ved. And Atharvaveda has its Upved is Ayurved, Veda of life science. And there were the expertise Brahminical priests are called the Ritvis, and each Veda has its specific Brahminical priest through which we can perform the mantras of each Vedas. So there were the 4 kinds of Brahminical priest. This was the Hotri priest for the Rig Veda, and this was the Udgata priest for Samveda, and this was the Adharvyu for Yajurveda, and this was the Brahma for the Atharvaveda. After the Upveda Brahminical priest, Brahminical texts were written. They emphasize over the performance of sacrifices, and later on the sacrifices included the animal sacrifice or sometimes the human sacrifice. That is why they were criticized by the scholars, and finally they were supplanted by the Aranyaks. Aranyak means the forest books, but Atharvaveda has no Aranyak text, and later on Upanishad were written. Upanishad is the last part Upanishad are the last part of the Vedic literature, and they are called the Vedant too, because the ending part of conclusion of Vedas. The research or discovery which was started from the Vedas, now it was completed. Like during the Veda there was no concept of one god or monotheism, but at the age of Upanishad it was discovered, so it is called the Vedant. This is the one of the example. There are 108 Upanishad. The largest Upanishad is the Brihat Upanishad, and the shortest Upanishad is the Mundak Upanishad, where the India's great statement have been written, Satyamev Jayate, truth alone trump. And the eldest son of Mughal Emperor Shahjahan, Dara Shikoh, translated 52 Upanishads into the Persian language with the title of The Great Secret. After the Upanishad, the Vedang were compiled. So there were the 6 Vedang. Through the human body, the Vedang have been compared, and according to the human anatomy, how can we understand the different aspect of Vedas? It have been mentioned in the Vedang, and later on the Vedas were defined in very short or precise form, and it is called the Sutra literature. So through the different sutras, the Vedas were defined. Later on, the age of Mahakavya or the great epics. So this was the time of epic age. Great epics are Ramayana and Mahabharata, and they were written during the 400 BC to 400 AD. The Ramayana is the first or most ancient epics of Hindus. Ramayana now has the 24,000 slokas, and it was written or compiled by Maharishi Valmiki. Mughal Emperor Akbar translated the Ramayana into Persian language with the title of Nargistan, and this was asked by the Amitabh Bachchan in कौन बनेगा करोड़पति, and second epic is the Mahabharat, which was written or compiled by Maharishi Vedavyas, now has 1 lakh slokas, and from chapter 23 to 40 it contains the Gita ji or Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is a part of Mahabharata. Mughal Emperor Akbar again translated the Mahabharata into Persian with the title of Rajmanama, the book of battles, Rajmanama, and this was also called by Amitabh Bachchan in Kaun Banega Karodpati. After the epics, Smritis were written. Smritis are remembrance, and this was the Manu Smriti. Manu Smriti, the most ancient Smritis written during the 200 BC, and there are around 21 or 22 Smritis defines the Indian social and religious life. And finally, the last text are the Puran. The Puran means most ancient. Puran were written during the Gupta age, 5th to 6th century, and there are 18 Purans in numbers, and they were written by the Lomhars and his son Ugrasrabha. Both were the disciples of Maharishi Vedavyas, and this is the largest Puran, the Skand Puran. Skand Puran is the largest, and the shortest Puran is the Markandeya Puran. Bhagavad Puran was the first Puran which was translated in any European language, and it was translated first in the French language, and the most ancient Puran was the Matsya Puran. And there are the 5 subjects of Puranas. Purana contains the 5 subjects. One is the Sarg, creation, second is the Pratisarg, destruction, third is the Vansanu Charit, the legendary, or fourth is the important ones, important dynasty like the solar or lunar dynasty, or last is the Manvantar. So, this is the complete information about the Vedic literature. Now, the next topic is civilization. Vedic civilization, and then Mahajanpad age, and then foreign invasion over India. Foreign invasion, we will discuss the 3 topics. Foreign invasion, or through the Indian map we will locate some important sites and explain the information. Civilization. What is the duration period of Vedic civilization? Vedic civilization is started about the 1500 BC up to the 500 BC. Vedic civilization is also called the Arya civilization, and according to the German philosopher Max Muller, Aryas were the inhabitant of Central Asia, and from there they migrated towards the India. Before entering into India, they divided into the different branches, and the 5 branches of Aryas made their organization or unity with the non-Aryans, the original Indians, and there was a group of the 10 kings, and this was the most important Aryan leader, Sudas. The King Sudas defeated these all 10 kings, and this is called the Battle of 10 Kings in the Indian history, and the battle was fought on the bank of Ravi river, and the ancient name of Ravi river is the Parushni river. Vedic civilization is studied in this way: the early Vedic age and the later Vedic. And why we study the topic in this way? Early Vedic during the 1500 to 1000 BC, and the later Vedic from 1000 to the 500 BC, because when Aryans migrated from Central Asia, according to Bal Gangadhar Tilak, they were the inhabitant from the North Pole, and Dayanand Saraswati have stated they migrated from the plateau of Tibet. So initially Aryans were settled in the northwest region of the India, and they spent around 500 years during the 1500 to 1000 BC. This was their homeland, and it is called the early Vedic age. And later on they migrated towards the Gangetic plains, and they settled in this region, and they spent the next time during the 1000 to 500 BC. So we study this topic in this way. In the early Vedic age, the Aryans were divided into the different tribal communities, and they divided their tribal community. The highest admin unit was the Jan. Further, Jan were divided into the Vis, the lower admin unit, and the family was the lowest admin unit of the Aryans. And here the king was not the owner of their land, but responsible for protecting their peoples and their life from the enemies. But in the later Vedic age, now the king of tribal communities took up the titles of like Samrat, Brat, Bhoj, King, Ekrat, and he started to perform the different ritual sacrifices like the throne ceremony, Raisu Yagya, horse sacrifices, the Asumedha Yagya or the Purushmedha Yagya. And in the both phase, king maintained the council of minister which was called the Ratnen, and there was a small army in the early Vedic age. In later Vedic age, the army, judicial system, civil admin was completely extended or developed. In the early Vedic age, society was mainly based upon the Varna system. There were the four Varna, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, and first time they are mentioned in the Rig Veda under the 10th Mandal where the Purusukta have been written. Varna system was simply a division of labor according to their choice and interest. Any person can perform, any person can take responsibility in the society or country, and there was no discrimination, there was no concept of the upper Varnas or lower Varnas, and there was no concept of the untouchability. But in the later Vedic age, the Varna system was replaced by the caste system. The first time caste system was originates, and within the caste system Gotra system and the subcastes were developed, and again so many restrictions were imposed over the women, so the social status of women was declined in the later Vedic age. In the early Vedic age, the peoples prayed toward their family deity. This was the Indra. The Indra was the most important deity of the early Vedic age, and mainly they praise Indra through chanting the mantras. But in the later Vedic phase, Indra was replaced by the Prajapati Brahma. The Prajapati Brahma became the important deity or god, and Lord Vishnu and Mahesh were associated with the Brahma, and now the chanting of mantras was replaced by the rigid sacrifices, and here sacrifices became the important part of human life. Nothing was possible without performing the sacrifices, and the Aryans used to the production of or cultivation of rice. Vrihi term have been mentioned in the Rig Veda, which denotes the rice, yani chawal. And cow was important animal. This was very important in their life, and this was the indication of and to measurement of their wealth. Aryans started the so many practices, and which became the foundation of the later Indian history. During the later Vedic age, when the monarch started to took up the different kinds of titles, and this was the beginning of state formation. Finally, the states were formed under the 16 Mahajanpad. So there were the 16 Mahajanpad which are mentioned in the Buddhist text Anguttara Nikaya and Jaina text the Bhagavati Sutra, and through the map we can understand these Mahajanpad. This was the easternmost Mahajanpad, the Ang Mahajanpad. Champa was the capital of this Ang Mahajanpad. Dadivahan was the important ruler, and his daughter Chandana, later on she became the female disciple of Mahavir Swami. At the northwest boundary, this was the Kamboj Mahajanpad. Rajpur was its capital, and this was the Gandhar Mahajanpad. Taxila was its capital, and both now are outside India in Pakistan. In the South India, this was the only Mahajanpad, Asmak. Patan or Potli was its capital. It was located on the bank of Godavari river, and above the Asmak, this was the Avanti Mahajanpad. It has two capital. The northern capital was the Ujjaini, or southern capital was Mahismati. There was single Mahajanpad in Rajasthan surrounding the Jaipur. This was the Matsya Mahajanpad, and it has Biratnagar or Berat as its capital, and this was the Sursen Mahajanpad, very close or neighboring to the Matsya Mahajanpad. Its capital was Mathura. In the northern side, it was the Panchal Mahajanpad in the Bareilly, Farrukhabad or the Rohilkhand region. It has two capital. The Ahi Chhatrapur was the capital of northern part, or Kampil was the capital of the southern part. At the boundary of border of Nepal, this was the Kosal Mahajanpad. It also had two capital. The Saket or Ayodhya was the capital of northern Kosal, and the Kushavati was the capital of the southern Kosal. In the middle or center of the India, this was the Kasi Mahajanpad. It has capital as the Varanasi. So these were the important Mahajanpad. Finally, Magad got victory among the all Mahajanpad, and this was the rise of Magad as a first imperial states in India. And what were the responsible factors which made the Magad a global conqueror among all the 16 Mahajanpad? Mainly there were the three important dynasties, and all the political rulers or monarchs were the great ambitious diplomats and the warriors. The first dynasty was the Haryank dynasty. Haryank dynasty was the first which ruled from the Magad during 554 to 413 BC. This was the Bimbisar, the first ruler who founded the Haryank dynasty and made Giriraj or Rajgir as its first capital, now in Nalanda district of Bihar, and who was succeeded by his son Ajasatru. Ajasatru killed his father Bimbisar and constructed the Pataliputra city, and Ajasatru was the first ruler who held the first Buddha council after the death of Gautam Buddha, and this was the Udayan ruler who made Pataliputra, now which is called Patna, the first capital of Magad. The second dynasty was the Sisunag dynasty. Sisunag dynasty, which ruled over Magad during 413 to 345 BC. It was founded by the Sisunag, and who made Vaisali as the another capital apart from the Pataliputra, and who was succeeded by the Kalasok. Kalasok held the second Buddha council at Vaisali. Nagdasak was the last, Nandivardhan or Manandan was the last ruler, and who was murdered by the Mahapadam Nand, and Sisunag dynasty was replaced by the Nanda dynasty. Nanda dynasty ruled over Magad during the 345 BC to 322 BC. Mahapadam Nand was the founder, and who was succeeded by his son Dhananand. Dhananand was ruler of Magad. That time Alexander invaded over India. For a short time Kautilya worked as his prime minister. The foreign invasion, when the India was under the 16th Mahajanpad or under the state formation process, immediately it was invaded by the foreign invaders. The first invasion ever in history from the Persian side, the first invasion by the Persia or the Iran in the 6th century BC. This was the Darius first ruler of the Persia, who ruled from the Persia 520 to 486 BC, and who invaded India and acquired the northwestern part of India and merged into the Persian Empire. And the second invasion from the Greek, the Macedonian Empire, and this was the Alexander or Sikandar, who invaded over India during the 4th century BC. Aristotle was his guru or teacher who guided the Alexander. Alexander was very ambitious and who promised to be a world conqueror, and in this way he determined to conquer the India. Alexander attacked over the Porus, the important ruler between the territory of Jhelum and Chenab river, and Alexander fought the battle of Bitasta against the king Porus in 326 BC, and it is called the battle of Bitasta or also the battle of Jhelum river. Bitasta is the ancient name of Jhelum river, or in Greek the Jhelum river is called the Hydaspes. So this is the landmark battle through which Alexander defeated the Porus and who made Porus as his subordinate and his ambassador. Through the Porus, Alexander found so many information about the Indian society, political system or geography. When Alexander started to attack over India, India was under the Magad rulers Dhananand. Finally, Alexander did not succeed to acquire the entire India, or in 323 BC Alexander returned from India and he erected or marked some statues in the memory of Greek deities, and he returned from the Vyas river, or soon in 323 BC Alexander was died. So his dream could not complete. Now the second topic is Swami and Gautam Buddha. So this is very important topic. Buddha and Mahavir Swami, large topics. So we will cover the topic in the various dimension. Buddha and Mahavira. First, some information we must know through the comparison. Just like Gautam Buddha was born during the 563 BC, while Mahavira during the 599 BC. Also, some historians assume the 540 BC, and the place of birth of Gautam Buddha was Lumbini, the capital of Kapilvastu state, and Mahavira at the Kundagram within the Vaisali states. Buddha belongs to the Sakya Kshatriya, Mahavira belongs to the Gyatrak Kshatriya. The birth name or earlier name of Gautam Buddha was the Siddharth. So this was the Siddharth, and this was the Vardhaman, birth name of the Mahavira. The father of Siddharth was King Suddhodhan, and his mother was Maya Devi or Mahamaya Devi. Siddharth was the father of Mahavira and Trishala Devi was his mother. Soon, very soon, Mahabir Swami and Gautam Buddha determined to given up their states or their household life, but both were married by their parents. Gautam Buddha married with the Yasodhara and had a child called the Rahul. Mahabir Swami married with Yashoda and had a girl, daughter, which was the Anuja, also called the Priyadarshana. But at the age of 29, Gautam Buddha left his home, or at the age of 30, Mahabir Swami given up his empire or the home. When the Gautam Buddha was born, it was called the light of Asia, but now it was a symbol of sorrow for the Kapilvastu state, because now Gautam Buddha immediately given up all the empire of monarchies or the royal facilities given by his father. Gautam Buddha also called the Tathagat or the Sakya Muni. Now Gautam Buddha started their meditation in the Gaya district of Bihar, and where he started meditation under the tree, people or the banyan tree on the bank of Niranjara or Punpun. Mahabir Swami selected the Vaisali, and where he started meditation under the sal tree on the bank of Rijupalika river. When the Gautam Buddha was born, the Kaudinya Brahman, who made a prophecy about the Gautam Buddha, either who may be a great monarch or Chakravarti ruler, or the great saint or bhikshu, and the second prophecy was now converted the true. And after the meditation, Gautam Buddha at the age of 35, after the 6 years meditation, Gautam Buddha attained the salvation which is called the Nirvana. And Mahabir Swami attained the salvation after the 12 years meditation at the age of 42. This is called the Kaivalya knowledge. After the enlightenment or Nirvana, the Gaya district was called the Bodh Gaya, and the people of banyan tree was called the Bodhi tree. And now Siddhartha became the Buddha, and Gautami Prajapati, she fostered the Gautam Buddha because his mother was died after giving birth to Gautam Buddha after the 7 days. So that's why the Gautami term is used as the prefix. The Gautami Prajapati was his Mausi, and after attaining the Nirvana, Gautam Buddha is the first sermon, the first speech at the Sarnath in the Banaras district of Uttar Pradesh, where he disclosed the Dharma Chakra Pravartan, also called the turning of wheel of the path. And Mahabir Swami, the first sermon or first speech at the Bitchula mountain in Vaisali. Gautam Buddha gave his last speech or message at the Kusinara in Uttar Pradesh, or Mahabir Swami delivered his the last speech or message at the Pava or Pavapuri near the Patna in Bihar to the Maharaj Sastipal, and finally both were died. Gautam Buddha speaks throughout the Pali language. The Pali was derived from the Sanskrit or mixing some local terminology, while the Mahabir Swami speaks in Prakrit language and the Magdi or Ardhamagdi language. Again, there is some information about their theories and the some claims raised by the Brahmanical priest or the Brahman society. One is Gautam Buddha and Mahabir Swami both are considered as the atheist. Atheist means the person which does not believe in the Veda. Mahavir Swami and Gautam Buddha are considered the atheists. Second, Nirishwarvadi. Both do not believe in the existence of God, but both accept the law of karma, theory of rebirth, salvation. The soul was not accepted by Gautam Buddha as accepted by Jainism or the Hindu text. So it is claimed the Buddhism do not believe in the existence of soul. Gautam Buddha finally preached his message through the first sermon at Sarnath, where he disclosed the four noble truths. There are the four noble truths preached by Gautam Buddha. This was the first noble truth: the world is full of sorrow. Second, the cause of sorrow, from which Gautam Buddha derived the theory of causation or Pratitya Samutpad, theory of dependent origin. And the third, how can we see the cause of sorrow, where Gautam Buddha derived the theory of Nirvana, the salvation. Or the fourth noble truth, where the Gautam Buddha preached the eightfold path theory, Ashtangik Marg, and through which Gautam Buddha derived the theory of three gems or three jewels, three ratna of the Buddhism. Pragya, Seal and Samadhi are the three gems of the Buddhism. And also Gautam Buddha explained the theory of Anityavad, non-eternalism, and later on it was converted into the theory of momentum, the Kshanikvad. In Jainism, Mahavir Swami explained the theory of Anekantvad. So, Anekantvad was the theory in Jainism explained by the Mahavir Swami, and Anekantvad means that everything in the world which is living or not living are true or real. And again Mahavir Swami explained the theory of relativity, Syadvad, Saptbhangi Ne, or the theory of Ne. Mahavir Swami derived his three jewels from his speeches, and there were the three gems in Jainism: the right conduct, the right knowledge, or the right philosophies are the three gems of the Jainism. Mahavir Swami emphasized the performance or implementation of five great bhoj: Satya, Ahimsa, Asteya, Aparigraha or Brahmacharya, through which every person can maintain the right conduct. There were some council. After the Gautam Buddha, the four Buddha council were held. The first Buddha council was held at the Rajgir or Giriraj by the monarch Ajasatru, and where the Sutta Pitaka or Vinaya Pitaka were compiled. And the second Buddha council was held by the Kalashoka at Vaisali, where the Buddhist empire was divided into Sthabirvad or Masangik, the two groups. And the third council was held by the Emperor Asoka at Pataliputra, where the third Pitak, Abhidhamma Pitaka, was compiled. And at the time of fourth council, during the Kanishk at Kashmir, Kundalban Kashmir, the Buddhism was divided into the Heenyan and Mahayana. So Heenyan and Mahayana are the two groups of the Buddhism. Same, there were two Jaina council after the death of Mahavir Swami. The first Jaina council was held at Pataliputra during the Chandragupta Maurya, and it was presided over by the Sthulbhadra, where the Jain community was divided into the Shwetambar and Digambar. Shwetambar founded by the Sthulbhadra, Digambar sect founded by the Bhadrabahu. The philosophies or rules are very rigid or strict in the Digambar, where the women are not eligible to attain the salvation. And the second Jaina council at Vallabhi, Gujarat, where the important Jaina texts were written. The important Buddhist texts are called the Tripitak. Tripitak, the three boxes in which the complete Buddhist canonical literature have been written. The first Tripitak, the first Pitak is the Sutta Pitak. Sutta Pitak is the first Pitak which contains or include the speeches or message of Gautam Buddha, and within the Sutta Pitak there is a Jataka tales, describe the earlier birth of Gautam Buddha, and there is a Dhammapad which is called the Bible or Gita of Buddhism. Vinay Pitak defines the rules and regulations for the Buddhist monk, and this was the last or third Pitak, the Abhidhamma Pitak. Abhidhamma Pitak, which contains the philosophical doctrines of Gautam Buddha like the Four Noble Truths, Pratitya Samutpad, Nirvana theory, Kshanikbad का सिद्धांत, अष्टांगिक मार्ग और द थ्री जेम्स theory. The next is or Mauryan Empire. During 320 to 185 BC, and after the Mauryan age there were the three Brahman dynasties, and again there were foreign invasion over India, and through the map we will locate some information. Mauryan age. The Mauryan Empire was founded by Chandragupta Maurya. Founder was Chandragupta Maurya, and he reigned during 322 to 98 BC. Chandragupta Maurya defeated the last ruler of Nanda dynasty, Dhananand, and acquired the Magad Empire, declared himself as India's first Chakravarti ruler. This was the Kautilya acted as his prime minister. His birth name was the Vishnugupta, and he is also called the Chanakya because he was born in Chanak village in Taxila, now in Pakistan. Kautilya wrote a book which is called the Arthashastra. But nothing is just like economy in the text. The subject matter of Arthashastra is polity or the administration. After the death of Alexander, his commander Seleucus now invaded the India, and Seleucus was defeated by Chandragupta Maurya, and finally Seleucus surrendered or married his daughters Helena with the Chandragupta Maurya, and Seleucus sent Megasthenes as the Greek ambassador. Megasthenes as Greek ambassador in the court of Chandragupta Maurya, where Megasthenes wrote a book Indica. During the Chandragupta Maurya, there was 12 years famine in the Magad, and after that Chandragupta Maurya, with the help of Jain saint Bhadrabahu, sacrificed his life at the Sravan-Belgola hill. Chandragupta Maurya are mentioned by the Greek scholar as Sandrocotus or Androcotus. After the Chandragupta Maurya, the legal heir was the Bindusar. Bindusar simply maintained the empire and nothing is important about him. The son of Bindusar was the Asoka, the great emperor, the Chakravarti ruler, who ruled during 272 to 232 BC. Asoka had to fight the battle of Kalinga first in 261 BC. Kalinga battle. Kalinga is the ancient name of Odisha, and it has been mentioned in the 13 inscription of Asoka. Asoka is famous in Indian history due to his some innovation. First, he was the one of the ruler who started the tradition of inscription or edict inscription at the large. There were the two kinds of inscription, rock edict inscription or the pillars. Rock were further divided into the major rock or minor rock. Major rock which contains the 14th line, minor rock there are 2 or 3 lines. Pillars again, major pillars and the minor pillar. Major pillars include the 7 lines, or minor pillars the lines are not fixed. The major rocks, the two major rocks, they are the Shahbazgadi and Mansehra, both are now in Pakistan and they are in the Kharoshthi script. This is the only inscription of Ashoka, Kandhar, where the Sar-e-Kuna in Kandhar, Afghanistan, which was inscribed in both Greek and Aramaic script, and the major rock in India were written in Prakrit language and Brahmi was the script of Prakrit language. There were important pillars of the Ashoka. In the 7th pillar, Ashoka have adopted the Buddhism, and where he defined the concept of Dhamma, which is also called the ethical philosophy of Ashoka. The inscription of Ashokas were first studied or deciphered by the James Prinsep in 1837. This is the important question, and this was the only queen of Ashoka, Karubaki. She was mentioned in the Prayag, Kosambir, Allahabad inscription, and this inscription is called the Queen's inscription or the Queen's edict inscription. Ashoka adopted the Buddhism, and for the preachings of Buddhism or to spread the Buddhism, who sent his son Mahendran, daughter Sanghamitra to the Sri Lanka, and who established so many officials for the preaching of Buddhism. Ashoka built the Barabar caves now in Bihar, and these caves are dedicated to the Ajivak monks. They are the Lomesh Rishi cave, Sudama cave, Vishwajapadi cave or the Karn Chopad cave. Ashoka adored the title of Devanam Priya Priyadarshi, beloved of God, but there are only 4 inscriptions where he has mentioned only as the Ashoka. This is the Gurjara inscription in Madhya Pradesh, Maski, Udagolam, Nittur, all the 3 inscriptions in the Karnataka. After the Ashoka there were so many legal heirs, and this was the Dasarath, the grandson, who adored the same titles as Ashoka, Devanam Priya Priyadarshi, beloved of God, and Dasarath built the Nagarjuni Hills cave, where the Gopi, Bapi or Badati 3 caves were built by the Dasarath, and this was the last ruler of Mauryan dynasty Brihadratha, and who was murdered by the Pushyamitra Sung. After the Mauryan age, 3 Brahmanical dynasties ruled over Magad or India. The first Brahmanical dynasty was the Sung dynasty. Sung Vans, they ruled from 185 to 73 BC. This was the Pushyamitra Sung, founder of the Sung dynasty, and they made their capital Vidisha in Madhya Pradesh apart from the Pataliputra. Maharishi Patanjali was the courtier or the family priest of Pushyamitra Sung, who performed the different kinds of sacrifices for his owner. Finally, Maharishi Patanjali wrote the Mahavasya text in the court of Pushyamitra Sung, and which is an important grammar book. After the Sunga dynasty, this was the Kanva dynasty, and they ruled from the Magad during the 73 to 28 BC. Kanva dynasty was founded by the Vasudev. Vasudev was the founder, and after the Kanva dynasty, this was the Satvahan dynasty, also called the Andhra Satvahan. Initially, they started their reign from the Andhra Pradesh, made capital Dharni Kota, Dhanyakota in Andhra Pradesh. Finally, they settled along with the Godavari river in the Maharashtra, and they made their capital as the Patan or Pratishthan, now in Maharashtra. Simuk was the founder of Satvahan dynasty, and this was the largest dynasty ruled over India around the 400 years, and this was the first dynasty of Indian history where the women were given highest respect. Most of the rulers used the name of their mother as a prefix with his name, like the Gautamiputra Satkarni. Satkarni was ruler, Gautami was his mother, and again the Vasishtiputra Pulmabi, and the rulers of Satvahan first issued the coins of lead or the potin. At the same time, India was again invaded by the foreigners, and this was the first invasion by the Yavan or the Indo-Greeks. The Indo-Greek first invaded India during the post-Mauryan age. This was the Demetrius, founder of Indo-Greek in India, and Demetrius was replaced by the Menander or Milind. Menander made his capital Sakal Sialkot in Pakistan in the place of Taxila. Menander discussed with the Buddhist monk Nagasena, and this discussion was finally written in a book Milind Pano, and this was written by an unknown Greek author in the Pali script. Indo-Greek were the first ruler. They issued gold coins, original gold coins in India first, and they started the scientific currencies which had the name and titles and datings of the reigning of the or time of the rulers. After the Indo-Greek, this was the second invasion from the Sak rulers. Sak tribes from the Persia or Iran, and Sak entered into India, and they divided into different branches. This was the important branch from the Ujjain, and Ujjain branch was founded by the Chastan, and Rudradaman first was the important ruler in the 2nd century, and who inscribed the India's first pure Sanskrit inscription, the Junagadh or Girnar inscription. After the Sak, the India was invaded by the Parthian. Parthian again arrived from the Iran, Persia, and the last foreign invasion from the Kusan. Kusan were the branch of Yuchi tribes from China, and Kusan dynasty was founded by the Kujul Kadphises. Kujul was the founder, and later on this was the Bhim Kadphises. Kanishka was the important ruler of the Kusan dynasty. Kanishka launched Sak era in 78 AD. Kanishka flourished the Gandhar art in the northwest boundary. During the Kanishk, the Mahayan was the rise of Mahayan due to the Kanishka, through which Kanishka started the formation of statues or images of Gautam Buddha, and Kanishka held the 4th or the last Buddha council in Kashmir, Kundalban, and the court of Kanishka was famous for the great scientists, scholars, poet like the Charak, great physician, where he wrote the Charak Samhita book on medical science, and this was the Ashva Ghosh, Vasumitra, Nagarjun, who started the treatment of the different disease through the chemicals. Now the next topic is dynasty. Then the Vardhan dynasty or the Pushyabudhi dynasty, then Rajput era, or then invasion of Islam over India. Invasion of Islam over India. देखिए, through the Indian map we can draw some important facts and can take help to describe the important information. Map makes the information more scientific. Gupta dynasty ruled over India from 3rd century to 6th century. Gupta dynasty was founded by the Srigupta. So this was the first ruler Srigupta, and his reigning time is disputed among the scholars who made the Pataliputra as his capital. This was the Chandragupta first. Chandragupta first was the real founder of Gupta dynasty, and who launched the Gupta Samvat or Gupta era in 319 AD, and this was the Samudragupta, also called the Napoleon of India, who ruled over India during 335 to 375 AD, and who is inscribed playing Veena on the coins. Samudragupta invaded India through their military policies, and Harisen was his court poet who wrote Prayag Prasasti or the Prayag inscription, which was originally inscribed during the Asoka. After the Samudragupta, this was the Chandragupta II. Chandragupta II, also called the Vikramaditya, who ruled over India during the 380 to 415 AD. The reign of Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya, is famous for his 9 jewels or gems, Navratna. And this was the Kalidas in the court of Chandragupta II, who wrote the different texts like the Abhigyan Sakuntalam, Vikramorvarsiya, Malvika Nimitra, the 3 play, and Raghuvansam, Kumar Sambham were the 2 great epics. Meghdut and Ritusamhar were the Saxon epics. And this was the Dhanvantari, the father of medical science, Barhamir, Amar Singh, who wrote a glossary as the Amarkos. The first Chinese traveller Faxian or Faiyan visited India and who stayed in the court of Chandragupta II. Finally, Faxian wrote the Foka-Yuki Chinese text. Faxian studied about the Buddhism. Mehrauli pillar, the iron pillar erected by the Chandragupta II. After the Chandragupta II, this was the Kumargupta I, who constructed the Nalanda University now in Bihar. And after the Kumargupta, this was the Skandagupta, Narsinggupta, Baladitya. And during their reigning time, Huna tribes from Central Asia, they invaded over India. This was the Torman, first Huna leader during the Skandagupta, and Mihirkul, the son of Torman, and who was defeated by the Narsinggupta Baladitya. The Gupta era is most important in Indian history because during the Gupta age, this was the revival of Indian classical culture. Puranas were first started or completed during the Gupta age. Great epics Ramayana and Mahabharata were finalized in the Gupta age. Smritis were finalized or enhanced during the Gupta age. Only few Smritis were written after the Gupta age. And the first in India construction of temple. The temple construction started during the Gupta age, where they started the statue worship, Murti Puja, and the theory of incarnation. Theory of incarnation was launched to counter the Gautam Buddha or Buddhism. During the Gupta age, there were the important scientists like the Aryabhatta and Brahmagupta, Barhamir or Bhaskar first. Aryabhatta, who wrote the Bhattiyam Siddhant or the Surya Siddhant. Aryabhatta first discovered the method of square root or cube root, who first mentioned the revolving of earth around the sun and use of decimal system, use of zero or shunya. Aryabhatta never discovered the zero, and Aryabhatta separated the arithmetic from the astrology. Brahmagupta wrote the Brahma Siddhant, where he mentioned why everything attracts or fell down toward the earth, and later on it was explained by the Newtons by their gravitational laws. Bhaskaracharya first, Barhamir, there were so many important scientists. So this was the age of Gupta period. After the Gupta age, this was the Vardhan dynasty, also called the Pushyabhuti dynasty, founded by the Pushyabhuti, and this dynasty is famous for the Harshvardhan. So this was the Harshvardhan. Harshvardhan ruled during the 606 to 647 AD. The initial capital of Vardhan or Pushyabhuti dynasty was the Thaneshwar in Haryana, and later on he made his capital as the Kannauj in Uttar Pradesh. Harshvardhan was himself a great poet or scholar who wrote Priyadarshika, Naganand or Ratnavali, the 3 plays, and this was the Banbhat, the courtier of Harshvardhan, who wrote the Harshcharit as the biography and the Kadambari. After the Harshvardhan, India was under the Rajput age. Rajput age denotes the age of decentralization, where there were the small states. Rajput were divided into the different clans, the Agnikul clan, Solar clan or the lunar clan. The first Rajput clan was the Chauhan. Chauhan dynasty was founded by the Vasudev and who made the Sabar near the Jaipur as his capital. Later on capital became the Ajmer or then Delhi. And Chauhan made the important growth during the Prithviraj Chauhan. Second, this was the Pratihar, also called the Parihar. Pratihar or Parihar dynasty was started by the Harishchandra at Mandor in Jodhpur. Finally, they moved during their legal years at the Avanti. This was the Nagbhatt first who founded the actual Pratihar or Parihar dynasty, made Avanti first capital or second capital Kannauj. Third, this was the Solanki dynasty. Solanki, also called the Chalukya of Gujarat, and it was founded by the Mulraj first in 940, and Mulraj first made Anhilwada as his capital, now in Patan district of Gujarat. Fourth, the Parmar dynasty. Parmar dynasty founded by the Siyak in 10th century 949, and who made his first capital as Mandu and second capital at Dhar, both are in Madhya Pradesh. This was the Chandel dynasty. Founder was the Nannuk in 10th century and who made his capital the Khajuraho, now in Chhatarpur district of Madhya Pradesh. And this was the Gehadwal dynasty. Gehadwal dynasty after the Pratihar dynasty. Chandradev was the founder of Gehadwal dynasty and who made Kannauj as his capital. And this was the Pal dynasty, founded by the Gopal in Bengal and who made the god as his capital in 750 or the 8th century. This was the Dharmpal after Gopal, who constructed the Bikramsala University in Bihar. Bikramsala and Nalanda, both universities were demolished and set fire by the Bakhtiyar Khilji. And the some dynasties of the South India, this was the Pallav dynasty. Pallav dynasty, the first ruler of Pallav was the Singh Burman in 275 AD, and Singh Vishnu is considered the real founder 575 in the 6th century. Pallav made the Kanchi or the Kanchipuram in Tamil Nadu as their capital. During the Pallav age, the temple architecture style Dravid was first started, and this was the Narsingh Burman first who constructed the Rath temple at Mahabalipuram in Tamil Nadu. Dharmaraj Rath temple is the largest or Draupadi Rath temple is the smallest. And Narsingh Burman second made the Kailash temple of Kanchi. And after the Pallav dynasty, this was the Chola dynasty, founded by the Vijayalaya during the 847 or the 9th century. Chola rulers made Tanjore as their capital, now in Tamil Nadu, and this was the Rajaraj Chol who constructed the important temples of Tanjore, the Brihadeshwar temple, also called the Rajrajeshwar temple, and who was replaced by his son Rajendra Chol. Rajendra Chol conquered the North India or the Ganga river valley and took up the title of Gangaikonda Chola and constructed a Gangaikonda Cholapuram states or the district in Tamil Nadu. And this was the last, the Chalukya or the Rashtrakoot dynasty. Chalukya were divided into the different branch. The first branch of Chalukya was the Badami or Vatapi, now in Karnataka. The Badami branch of Chalukya was founded by the Pulkesin first in 6th century or the 543 AD. Badami Vatapi was their capital, and this was the Pulkesin second, the next ruler who defeated the Harshvardhan at the battle of Narmada river. Badami Chalukya were replaced by the Rashtrakuta, and Rashtrakuta dynasty was founded by the Danti Durg or Danti Burman, and who made his capital at the Manya Khet or the Malkhet, now in Karnataka. And Krishna first was the next ruler in the Rashtrakoot dynasty who built the Kailash temple of Ellora, now in Aurangabad district, Maharashtra, or very close to the Ajanta paintings. And in the last, there was Islamic invasion over India. The first Islamic invasion by the Muhammad bin Qasim. This was the Qasim who first invaded India during the 711 to 712 and who defeated the Hindu ruler Dahir of the Sindh, ruler of Sindh, and who acquired the Sindh in the Islamic territories and import the Jizya tax first over the Hindu. The second Islamic invasion over India by the Mahmud Ghazni. So this was the Mahmud Ghazni, also called the Mahmud Ghaznavi. Ghazni is a place now in Afghanistan who invaded India 17 times. First invasion over the Jammu Kashmir, defeated the Hindu ruler Jaipal in 1001, and the important invasion of Mahmud Ghazni over the Gujarat at the Somnath temple 1026. At the time of invasion, this was the Bhim first, the ruler. And the third Islamic invasion by the Muhammad Ghori. Ghor is a region now in Afghanistan. Muhammad Ghori first defeated by the ruler of Solanki of the Gujarat state Mulrai II in 1178, and Muhammad Ghori had to fight against the Prithviraj Chauhan. This was the battle of Tarain first. Tarain is a place now in Haryana between the Sonipat and Panipat district. In the first battle of Tarain, Prithviraj Chauhan defeated the Muhammad Ghori. But in the second battle of Tarain in 1192, Muhammad Ghori defeated the Prithviraj Chauhan and Ghori killed him and acquired his territory between the Ajmer and Delhi. Muhammad Ghori finally defeated the Gadwal ruler Jayachandra, and this was the battle of Chandavar 1194, where the Ghori killed the Jayachandra and acquired all the geographical territory. And after conquering these Indian territories, Muhammad Ghori appointed the Qutbuddin Aibak as his legal heir, and then he started the Delhi Sultanate in India. Thank you.